Hi, I'm Jake from River Records. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you something that we've learned about documentation, which is that there are at least three different styles of documentation that people write. Primarily, it seems to be driven by their health record system, but there's also a sense of style as well. The three styles of documentation we have built into Stream such that based on whatever you need, you can get it from Stream with minimal effort. The most obvious note type for most people will be what we call the classic SOAP note. The other two styles are problem-based and fully combined notes. These refer to how we organize the subjective, objective, assessment, and plan sections for each medical problem that's addressed. The best way that I can describe them to you is simply to show you. So for this patient, Ashley, I've recorded a transcript in which I've addressed two problems, asthma and hypertension. Hypertension's been addressed before, but asthma hasn't. So we're going to go ahead and generate problems. I'm going to remove healthcare maintenance because I didn't really address it, though I did a little bit. You're going to see that asthma and hypertension are both identified appropriately as medical problems. Hypertension is going to have this number 1 here, which reflects the fact that hypertension was addressed in one prior visit. I don't want to deal with templates right now. I'm going to cover that in a different video. So I'm going to remove those templates, and I'm just going to generate cards, again, in this classic SOAP style. This is probably going to be a format that you're familiar with. The subjective is going to have relevant sections. The objective is going to have your physical exam, labs, imaging, and vitals. And then for each medical problem, in this case asthma and hypertension, we're going to have an assessment and plan. So this is a SOAP note, right? But a SOAP note actually, if you address multiple problems, contains subjective information about both asthma and hypertension, potentially. It also is going to include medications and social history relevant to all of the medical problems. And then any objective data that you include. Let's say we included the blood pressure here, right? That's really more related to the hypertension than it is to the asthma. The wheezing is really more related to the asthma, and the x-ray, again, more related to the asthma. But we've then organized everything per problem into each assessment and plan section, which makes sense. You need to have an assessment for every medical problem, and you need to have a plan for every medical problem that you're addressing. When we go and we change the style to the problem-based style, this is actually going to organize everything based on each problem that was addressed. So it's going to write a full SOAP worth of data for each medical problem. So it's going to write an asthma subjective, an asthma objective, an assessment, and a plan for asthma. And then it's also going to do the same thing for hypertension, right? And you'll see most of this visit, just by volume of text, was about asthma, and most of the hypertension was pretty brief, right? Well-controlled, continue. That's more or less pretty reflective of the way that I did this visit, in that the only line here that's about hypertension is really this last line here. So for problem-based documentation, you get this full SOAP's worth of data per medical problem. If you want to go and fully combine everything, you can probably see where we're going here. The classic SOAP combines information into the S and the O sections, regardless of problems. The fully combined is going to do that as well for S and for O. But then it's also going to have an assessment that lists the medical problems that were addressed during this visit. I don't really want to include those findings, so I'm going to edit them out. And you're going to see I did actually note that there were severe allergies to for this patient. So she really does have 3 problems that were addressed during this visit, but I didn't make much of an assessment or plan for the allergies. So again, I'm just going to remove that. The plan is still going to be broken down by problem, so maybe not truly fully combined, but most of the time people, when they want a fully combined note in this style, they do just want an S, an O, and an A section that has all of the data in those sections, and then they want a plan by problem. So these are the different styles of documentation that we've identified in talking with the many clinicians that we're working with. If there's a style that we're missing, we'd be happy to work with you to build it, because we want Stream to be as intuitive and as easy for you to get what you need right now. Now, an even better sort of perk of our system here is that in our user settings, you can just go ahead and essentially set your default style for each of these. If you want to just use the classic SOAP as your default, you can do that. If you want to use problem-based, you can do that. It's very much up to you. You just want to make sure you save that. And then when you come into visits in the future, that will be the automatically selected note style. Again, we thrive on feedback. If you have any feedback about this feature or anything else, please feel free to reach out at hello@riverrecords.ai. Hope we can help. Let us know how.